everybody. Welcome to Full Throttle Business, the show where we interview entrepreneurs and leaders to uncover what it really takes to build a business operating at full throttle. My name is Kelly Peitz. I'm the owner of Action Coach Central and Southeast Virginia. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new shows just like this one. Today, I have Lowell the Hammer Stanley, the owner of the Lowell Stanley Law Firm, as my guest. Welcome, Lowell. I really appreciate you taking time with us today.
Glad to be here.
Hey, please, to set the stage for our viewers, give us a little overview of your background. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, I'm a lawyer, a personal injury lawyer. Uh, the nickname is the Hammer. We fight for people against big corporations, big insurance companies, big money interests, people who are injured in mostly automobile collisions to make sure they're compensated and make sure that they get the money they deserve from the injuries that they incur.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the role that you currently play in your business. Obviously, you're the lawyer, the attorney, but what are the major roles you play in your business?
Well, I'm the CEO. I'm the man. Uh, it's not only the law practice, but it's the law business.
Mhm.
So we have to market, and I am the marketer. I deal with an agency, and we have television advertisements, we have SEO, we have media, social media, and we try to get the message out there that if you're injured in a collision, to hire Lowell the Hammer Stanley.
All right. So when you look at your role or multiple roles, how many hours do you spend working, in your business, the job versus working on your business, all those other things that you need to do to grow your business?
It's hard to distinguish working in your business and on your business. I have two roles. Number one, I'm the lawyer. By that I mean I practice law. I try cases. I prepare cases. I go to court. And number two, I run the business, the marketing, the vendors we deal with,
Mhm.
uh, the all the insurance, all the hiring, the people who work for me. I do all that too. So not only am I a lawyer, but I'm a businessman running the law business.
Yeah. So,
And I spend, I mean, how much time? As much as necessary. Some
okay.
days I work 10 hours, some days I work 2 hours. What is necessary to be done, I do. And the way it is now, of course, you don't have to necessarily be in the office. You can work from home, you can work on your phone. So, but
Yeah.
basically, it's a 24/7 operation where I'm there if necessary.
Okay. So let's move into what makes your business special. Okay. So who primarily does your business serve? I mean, if I was in the audience, how would I know that you'd be the perfect fit I'd be the perfect fit for your service?
Well, we're like tires and mattresses. You don't call me unless you need me. There are a lot of lawyers on television, you've seen them marketing, but you're not going to call a lawyer unless you need a lawyer. And so what I try to do is have my brand awareness out there so that if somebody is injured in a collision or injured in some kind of way, that I am top of their mind that they would call me. Uh, I want them to think of Lowell the Hammer Stanley as the one they would call if they were injured in an automobile collision. If they're just going online and looking for somebody, I have failed.
Hmm. Okay. So there's a lot of personal injury lawyers out there. So there's a lot of personal injury lawyers just in the Virginia Beach area. What makes your business unique? Why do clients choose you?
Well, I think it's the message. A message. I'm out there. I am the lawyer who's going to be trying it. I'm the one who's going to be doing it. There are a lot of lawyers out there who advertise, and they are not the ones you're going to be hiring. They have other lawyers, and you hire them. You think you're hiring them, but you're hiring their associate or their lawyer. When you
Mhm.
call Lowell the Hammer Stanley, you hire Lowell the Hammer Stanley, and we I'm, I, if you look at my commercials, you can look at them on YouTube and I'm on social media. You Google Lowell the Hammer Stanley, you'll find videos, you'll find things. And we have a message that we're tough and we fight and we do what's necessary to make sure the client gets the money and we don't pussyfoot around. So if you want a
I,
tough guy to fight for you, that's what we try to sell.
Yeah, I've dealt with law firms before, and you're right. It's almost like you almost feel like a bait and switch sometimes. You talk, your initial conversation is with the head guy, the head lawyer, and then you're being served by somebody, that maybe is newer into the law firm.
That's right. Look, don't misunderstand me. I'm lean and mean. Okay, I'm the one lawyer, so we don't take every case. All right, but the cases that we take, all the cases are important. Big case, little case. We try to treat our clients as our family. That I want to show I care about them. And lawyers, you go to law school, and they take the humanity out of you. I mean, people. First of all, people don't like lawyers. They don't want to deal with lawyers. The only ones you can politically correct make jokes about are lawyers. Okay, you can't make jokes about women. You can't make jokes about God forbid, race or. But everybody knows a lawyer joke, and even the lawyers tell them, and that's a fact. And you're not going to offend anybody if you tell a lawyer joke, as opposed to joke about sexism and that. And I'm not saying you should do it, but people hate lawyers until they need them.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I represent real people, the football coach, the bus driver, the truck driver, the construction man who aren't used to lawyers, who are afraid of lawyers and haven't dealt with lawyers. And I try to show that I'm not an attorney, but a real person who cares about you and will fight for you as your lawyer.
All right. So you've been doing this for a while, for like 30 years. What's helped your business grow?
Would it help my business grow?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. Things have changed. I'm I'm up there in age. I've been doing this for 40 years, and I do automobile collisions. And you may remember COVID. Okay, how can we forget COVID? And when COVID came, uh, people weren't driving. They weren't going around. And I had been advertising on television for a very long time, but I stopped advertising because nobody was driving. Everybody was working from home.
Mhm.
And I was considering retiring because I'm up there in age. And what happened was that people got online and said, when I stopped advertising, what happened to Lowell the Hammer Stanley? Looking for my obituary. Is he still alive? What's going on? So you understand, a lot of times when lawyers retire, people forget them. But I was
Mhm.
not forgotten. So I said, well, they want me, they need me. So I came back, and we are, back, and we're building. And I've been around a long time, but things have changed. I used to advertise, I still do, on television. You see a lot of lawyers on television,
Mhm.
but television isn't what it used to be, and radio isn't what it used to be. If you ask somebody young, they don't watch television. They are like me, an old man, like me at the urinal. They're streaming for 30 minutes. All right. And they're not listening to radio because they're on CarPlay, and they say, play you too, and they play it, and they're not listening to radio. So
Yeah.
everything has changed. We're talking social media here. We're talking TikTok, which I have like 3.5 million views on TikTok. I didn't even know I was on TikTok, but my daughter called me and said, "Dad, you're trending on TikTok. You go low the hammer Stanley on TikTok. It's unbelievable." But that's out there, but it's hard to track.
Mhm.
Very hard to track. So I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and we hope we get that brand out there that people will call me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how do your competitors compare with you?
Well, I got a lot of competitors. There are a lot of lawyers. There are a lot of lawyers and a lot of personal injury lawyers. And now with AI, a lot of transactional lawyers, but I mean lawyers who write contracts. You don't need a lawyer to write a contract for you anymore.
Hmm.
AI will do it. This is going to put a lot of lawyers out of business and change things around. In other words, you don't necessarily need a lawyer to write a will for you. You can have AI write a will for you. You don't need a lawyer to write a contract for you. You can have AI write a contract for you. And that's changing more and more. Now, for what I do as a trial lawyer, they're not going to have AI go to court and try cases.
Yeah.
So a lot of people and a lot of lawyers, and there are a lot of lawyers out there, are looking to go into the personal injury practice. And so, there are, I don't know, we were in Southeastern Virginia, but my point is, I would venture to guess that you see a lot more lawyers on billboards now than you saw, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago. All right.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason for that is because these television lawyers, television isn't working like it used to.
Hmm.
And they are trying to find ways to get their name out there to people. Now, I will tell you this. I don't think anybody's ever called a lawyer because of a billboard. They're not going to say, oh, I saw your billboard, I'm going to call you. But it's a way of branding. It's a way
Yeah.
of putting your name out there to reinforce what you do. So there are a lot of lawyers out there, and they're spending a whole bunch of money. And what you
Yeah.
try, and the name of the game in what we do and what I do is, for example, it's not like McDonald's where you got to eat. So if you advertise, you got to eat. But for me and for the other lawyers, unless you're injured in a collision or an accident, you're never gonna call me, ever.
Hmm.
So you want, when that happens to you, God forbid it happens to you, when it happens to you, that I'm in the top of your mind.
Yeah.
Now, and my ads, if you look at them on YouTube, and they're tough. So a lot of people, it's like a love or hate kind of thing. I have people who love my ads, and I have people who hate my ads. And if you go on Google or other things and you look for reviews of mine, I have stellar reviews. People love me if they've hired me. The people
Hmm.
who don't like me say, I hate this guy's commercials. I would never hire him. Those are the mostly negative reviews that I get.
Hmm.
So it's the message that you put out there, which can be very polarizing.
Yeah, even if someone watches a commercial and says, "Well, I don't like that. I don't like that commercial. I don't like him." You're still in their head. You're still in their mind,
They still do
and
remember me. That's a
and
fact.
they may end up calling you. You never know
They
because
may,
they remember
or
you.
somebody else may. Look, not everybody's going to call me. They call it's okay. You don't have to appeal to everybody, but you have to have a message out there, and it has to be consistent. And you have to appeal to people who like what you're trying to promote out there. And the biggest personal injury lawyer in the country and in the world is John Morgan of Morgan and Morgan, and they are huge and all over the country. And they have a message, and they have like 1,000 lawyers. And
Mhm.
maybe you don't want 1,000 lawyers. Maybe you want the guy who you know is going to help you. John Morgan is not going to be your lawyer, okay?
Yeah,
But I will.
right.
And not only that, if you're hurt in Virginia, I know Virginia. I'm from Virginia. I'm a Virginia guy, and I've been practicing here in Virginia for 40 years. I know the courts. I know the judges. I know how the system works. And if you want somebody who knows what's happening in your neck of the woods, I'm your guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's one thing you wish more people knew about your business, about your firm?
What one thing I wish people knew about it?
Yeah, that you wish more people knew about your firm.
Well, I think I'd like people to know about my firm is that we are approachable. We're real people. We're not snooty lawyers. Look, if you get on some lawyers' websites, they say in his spare time, he plays golf, he knits, he fishes. In my spare time, I work for my clients. I'm 24/7. With all due respect, I don't have any hobbies. I mean, I might read a little bit, but I'm not out there on the golf course saying, I wish I didn't have to work. I am full stop for my clients, thinking about them all the time. And that's what I do. I don't say, excuse me. Like, for example, I have met a friend of mine, a competitor of mine, who went, I saw at a conference, and I said, you haven't been to any of these conferences. Why? He goes, Lowell, the reason is because it's usually duck hunting season, and I'm out there shooting ducks. And that's great
Mhm.
for him, but I'm not shooting ducks. I'm shooting insurance companies for my clients. That's my focus.
Yeah, so really, it's your passion. I mean, it seems like it's total passion
That's
for you.
right. Look,
Yeah.
look, we're talking about the forgotten, the injured, and the damned. Insurance companies are in the business of taking in as much money as possible and paying out as little as possible.
Mhm.
No insurance adjuster ever got a bonus by giving somebody what they deserve. It's my job to get my people, my family, my clients as much money as I can for them. Aside from the fact that I'm a great guy, we work on a percentage basis. The
Mhm.
more I get for them, the more I get for me. And that is my focus, to make sure that they are recovered from their injury and to make sure they're adequately compensated for what happened to them. And that's what it's all about. And I care about justice, and justice is money, but the insurance companies, all they care about is money. They
Mhm.
don't care about, well, this guy is really hurt, we should pay them. What they say is, we just want to make sure how little we can pay them. That's
Yeah.
what they do. So
Yeah.
I am the great
Absolutely.
equalizer.
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about marketing earlier, but it's so vital for every business out there, and often it's an area that most business owners struggle with marketing. So, for your business, how many different marketing strategies do you use? You've mentioned a few.
Well, everything has changed. Everything has changed. 10, 15 years ago, it was television, quite frankly. Now it is so out there. Years ago, I used to do my own television buying. I bought TV, I bought radio. Now I have an advertising agency that does TV, radio, uh, social media,
Hmm.
Google. I mean, the algorithms that you need for Google change every 5 minutes for pay per click, for SEO. I mean, you have to have somebody doing it, and I do. And I got to
Hmm.
tell you, it's hard to find the right person. And there are a lot of guys in my business, in my practice, who are real snake oil salesmen, and they're selling things in the legal practice. When I first started way back in the day, and I would go to these conferences, trial lawyer conferences, American Association of Justice conferences, these conventions where vendors would try to sell the lawyers services. Years ago, they sold television.
Hmm.
Then they sold websites. Then they sold SEO and pay per click. Now they're selling AI. All right. And when I go to these legal conferences, and I go to many of them, a lot of these big firms are just doing AI. Why? So they can fire their paralegals and hope the AI will do the work for them. So things have changed tremendously in my legal practice and the legal
Yeah.
practice throughout the country.
Well, AI is definitely is interesting and will change industries for sure. I still don't believe it's ever going to take replace that personal thing that you have to have with so many businesses. Uh,
Look, I got to tell you something. I just called. I had a question about a vendor, a product I was dealing with, and I called the support. It was AI who was answering my questions,
yeah.
and it took me 5 minutes to say, "Excuse me, are you AI?" And they say yes, and I'd like to talk to a real person.
Yeah.
But my point is, many lawyers uh, don't have, and this is the whole legal community, the main problem that we all have is human resources, is getting good help.
Hmm.
It's tough. Now, first, the lawyers went to offshore. I have competitors in my market who their uh, um, receptionists are in the Philippines.
Yeah.
When I say, "Can I talk to uh, John?" They say, "We is he?" And they have no idea that he's in. And now they're firing the people in the Philippines, by the way, who are a lot cheaper than somebody in
Sure.
the United States, and having AI answer the phones.
Hmm.
And that's what's going on.
Yeah. So, of all the different strategies used, is there any one marketing strategy that's worked best for you?
Well, television has worked the best, but you can't depend on it now. And by the way, you have to have the right message, and you have to have the right concentration in what I do. You can have a great message. You can be the greatest lawyer in the world, but if you don't have any cases, what's the point?
Hmm.
And honestly, the truth of the matter is, you can be a terrible lawyer, but if your marketing is great, you can hire a good lawyer to do the work. So you and the one of the if you make the phones ring, but you don't do the work, you're out of business and you're disbarred. So
Yeah.
you got to have a great marketing message, and you got to follow through and make sure that when you're hired, you do the work. A lot of lawyers can do the message but can't do the work, and a lot of lawyers can do the work but can't do the message. It's difficult.
Yeah. So what approach do you take then to track those leads that come in? Do you use a CRM or something like that to track?
We do, but things are very. You used to be able to track a television or radio ad. What we used to do back in the day is, if I had because my stuff is direct response.
Mhm.
Call now, call now, call me if you're injured. So if we would run a spot on the ABC affiliate, let's say at 10 a.m., and
Mhm.
we got a call, we got to call it 5 to 10 or 10 after 5, we would attribute that call to that spot, and we would
Mhm.
track it. And it wasn't perfect, but it was good. But now I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Reddit, I'm on all that stuff. And you can't track or billboard. We would ask people, how did you find us? How do you know about us? But they don't necessarily tell the truth. I
Mhm.
don't think anybody's going to say the reason I'm calling you is going to show you a picture on a billboard. They'd be embarrassed. So
Yeah.
they tell you, I was referred, or I saw you, or this or that. It is very, very hard to track now. Obviously, if they're on your website and they click you, that's easier. But if you're out there in the zeitgeist, very hard to track to see where you're getting your cases from. We
Yeah.
ask them,
Yeah.
but it's hard. It's really hard to know really where it's coming from.
Yeah. Unless with some CRMs, you can have multiple phone numbers and you can
That's
list
right.
phone
Well,
numbers.
that's a problem too, because my phone number is uh, 459 cash.
Yeah.
All right,
You want
I've
somebody to
had for years.
remember the one phone number.
That's
Yeah.
right. But my point is, so if you have a number, like if you have a number, a different number for radio, different number for Google, different number for Reddit, they're calling the different numbers. A lot of times they know your number that you've advertised. They're not going to call that number.
Yeah.
It, it, you
Yeah.
know, it, and it's hard to do that. From what I do, which is a mass market thing for injury lawyers.
Yeah. So we spent a bunch of time focusing on the business and sharing some of the best practices that you do. I'd love to step back and dive into your journey a bit more. So why did you choose to go into business for yourself, open your own firm versus working for somebody else?
Well, I worked for somebody else for a long time. It's in the legal business. Uh, if you're a lawyer, I mean, and you're working for somebody. I mean, you're capped. You're capped at a salary.
Hmm.
You're capped at stuff. And quite frankly, the name of the game is being a rainmaker. As we say in the law, there are finders, there are grinders, and there are minders. All right. If you're if you're if you're the rainmaker, if you bring the business in, that is the key to the business, to the practice of law. If you can attract the clients, then you have the control. If
Hmm.
you're just the lawyer that your boss says, here's the client, you work on it, then you are a minder, and you can be replaced. And so it's, if you want control, you have to be the one who is getting the cases in. The way it is now in these big law firms, partnership, your law partner, this and that, in these huge law firms,
Hmm.
that today, in many respects, is meaningless. The partners have the clients, and they have their client base. And if they don't think they're getting what they should be getting, they take their clients and they move to another law firm. And it's basically, you eat what you kill in the practice of law these days. So Years ago when I first came, if you went to work for a big firm in New York or this or that, it was like tenure, like in college, like in university, no more. All right. If you are not pulling your weight by bringing in the clients, you are expendable. And if you're not getting your compensation, then you take your clients and you move.
Hmm. So when you decided to do that transition from working for somebody else to be building your own firm, what was that transition like for you?
Well, for me, it was taking the clients and and packing up and taking my clients and leaving, and then my former law firm and my former partners, we had a battle about whose clients they were and who was owed what. I mean, this was a long time ago, but
Mhm.
it was a significant battle. I mean, it's hard out there, all right?
Yeah.
And the name of the game is clients. And the good thing about my practice is there's no one client that is that important that I can't afford to lose them. Okay. But if you're a corporate law firm and your client is, let's say, General Motors,
Hmm.
all right, and General Motors, and you're billing per hour with, as these big law firms do, General Motors, thousands and thousands of dollars, and General Motors leaves, you got a problem. You got a real problem. But
Hmm.
for me, I have, people, and most of them are not, nobody gets in an accident every week, or, in other words, they get in a collision and they're my clients, and it's usually a one-off. You hope they'll refer you to somebody else, and you hope that if they're in another collision, they'll call you again. But, most people, it doesn't happen every day.
Right.
So there's no one important client that I can't say, um, I'm sorry, goodbye to you. I can't deal with you. That's not to say that if I get a case that, let's say, is potentially worth, $1 million, that I'm not going to, that client is not important, not more important to me than the client that is worth, $1,000.
Hmm.
But even so, push comes to shove, nobody's that important that you can't say, sorry, it's too much.
Yeah, yeah. So when you look back on the journey, what challenges did you face early on?
Well, the challenge always is to get business and to make a mark in your area, and that is really hard. And it was hard when I was starting out, and it's much harder now. I don't know. There are a lot of lawyers out there, and the ratio of lawyers to the population, I think maybe is like one lawyer per 75 people, something like that. And law schools are cheap to run, and they're cheaper now. Medical school, you need laboratories, you need, people to work on. Law schools, all you used to need is a library. And now with everything online, you don't even necessarily need an extensive library anymore. And I hate to tell you this, but many of the law professors who teach in law school never ever practice law. I mean, they don't know what it is like to run a legal business or a law firm. They went to college, they went to law school, they did really great. Maybe they clerked for a judge, and then they become law professors. They don't
Hmm.
know what it is to make a living as a lawyer, and that's tough.
So that challenge of getting people and bringing them on, I mean, what impact did that have on your growth as a business owner?
Well, I mean, once you get rolling, you have momentum. So one thing leads to another, but it's getting that rock started that is tough. Now, I was fortunate that I worked for other law firms, that I built a reputation of myself as being successful and a successful trial lawyer, that I went off on my own, that people who knew about me and my clients who were with me were happy to go with me when I left.
Hmm.
Uh, and But my former partners were not happy about that at all.
Yeah. So let's fast forward a bit and look at what comes next. Where do you see the business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, AI is making a huge difference in even what I do. okay, with regard to less support staff necessary, with regard to letters and with regard to um, uh, you know, documents and filing cases. So it's going to be a lot leaner and meaner for all law firms and personal injury law firms with regard to the support staff and support lawyers. Like I said, I'm a trial lawyer. I go to court. I try cases with juries. I try cases in front of judges. AI can't do that, but
Mhm.
AI can help you in research. AI can help you in questions you need to ask in what we call depositions, which are pre-trial examinations of participants in legal cases. And you used to need a paralegal or a lawyer to draft those documents, and now more and more you need less and less.
Yeah, so this it's efficiency. It
It's
drives efficiency.
efficiency, exactly.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but law firms, and I go to them. I just went to a conference called AI for PI, in other words, artificial intelligence for personal injury lawyers, which I am a personal injury lawyer.
Mhm.
And they were all there to try to find out how they could fire the people who work for them.
Yeah. So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground in the conversation today. A lot of great nuggets. As we begin to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions, kind of quick top of the head answers, okay?
Sure.
All right, first question. What is the key to success for you?
Perseverance and um, stick to itiveness. You gotta keep pushing. You're gonna you get a it's sort of like being an actor. All right. In other words, you got to be able to take rejection. You got to be able to take, you try a case, you lose it, you got to go on to the next case. You a client calls you, they talk to you, they don't hire you. You got to go on, you got to persevere, you got to keep pushing. That is the key.
Hmm. So, what's one piece of advice you'd give other business owners or somebody that wants to go into business?
Go into my business or go
Yeah,
into any.
or any business.
Okay. You have to have a difference. You got to be different. Uh, Whatever business you're in, if you're selling something, you got to have a reason they should buy it from you rather than somebody else. What I do in my business is I'm Lowell the Hammer Stanley. I am your tough lawyer to fight your tough stuff. We don't mess around. What I say is, if you want a lawyer who's a mamby-pamby, hire somebody else. You want a lawyer who, like, I don't know, wishy-washy, hire somebody else. You want a tough guy who's going to go after the money that you deserve, hire me. So you have to set yourself aside from other people. There are lawyers in my market. There was a guy just on a podcast recently said, how do you market? I said, well, I would never do this hammer stuff. And he said it. I called
Hmm.
him up. I said, give me a break, will you? But my point is, some lawyers won't do that. It's too much for them. Like when I first started marketing, my mother-in-law was not happy with my marketing, but it bought a nice house for her daughter. Let's put it that way.
So what you're describing right there is what we would call a unique selling proposition.
Yeah,
What's the differentiator
that's right.
between
You
you and
have to
everybody else?
differentiate yourself. You have to
Yeah.
differentiate. And as what you can't be a jack of, in my opinion, you can't be everything to everybody.
Hmm.
Okay, you have to say, this is what I do. I am the expert, the go-to guy in whatever it is that you're doing. And like, if you say I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. If you don't differentiate yourself, I think you're going to have a problem because everybody now is in a niche. Everybody's in a niche, even in the marketing. There is the SEO guy. There's
Yeah.
the media guy. There's the TV guy. I mean, everybody can't do everything, and if you tell them you can, I think that's a problem.
Yeah. So if you had to choose one area of your business that you could immediately improve, what would it be?
Uh, well, I'm trying to improve the marketing in this new environment. All right, social media is and is just changing every single day. And also to find the right people to do it. There are, in any business, you have people who are contacting you and saying, we will get you the business, we will get you the client, depend on us. And I got to tell you this, a lot of entrepreneurs are lazy. They don't want to do it. So somebody tells you, I'll do it, and all you do is pay me. They go, okay. And then when it turns out they don't, and you've put this money down a rat hole, you can be in real problems. You got
Yeah.
to stay on top of it, and you got to talk to them and find out what they're doing and try to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. If they tell you they're magicians, I would say stay away.
Yeah, you're absolutely right that there's so many marketing agencies out there that promise the world but really deliver nothing when it comes down to it. And
Right.
you just push that down. If you're not
Right.
seeing real results in 60 to 90 days, you got to cut
Right.
it and move
A
on.
lot, they're selling a lot of pie in the sky, and that is easy because they're lazy. They go, well, that's great. This guy's going to do it all for me. I don't
Yeah.
have to work. He's going to send the business to me, and I'll just worry about doing it. And the answer is a lot of guys are selling smoke.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the final question of the day, how can others learn more about you and your firm? How can they get in contact?
Well, you contact me, you get online. It's lowellstanley.com, theinjurylawyer.com. You check out my website, get on Google, look at my reviews. Um, I'm all over, you Google me, I'm all over the place, and I'm easy to contact. And 757-459-cash, or get on my website and you can contact me, and I'm very easy to find. And let me tell you something. If you need a lawyer, and not necessarily an injury lawyer, but other lawyers, feel free to contact me. Feel free to get with me. And I know the players throughout the country because I'm well known throughout the country. I am either famous or notorious, depending on how you look at it. And I will be happy to connect you with the guy that will do the work that you need to be done in the law.
All right. So last question of the day, what inspires you most these days?
What inspires me most are the people that I help. Good people, hardworking people, play by the rules, who unfortunately believe that that there's going to be justice for them, and when they find out that there's not, they they need help, and they think that if they're hurt, that the insurance company is going to be fair with them, and they're not. And so I step in and make sure that they're treated right and treated good, so these good people get what they need to get well and to continue on with their lives.
Yeah, those are great closing words, Lowell. So thanks so much for taking time with us today.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
All right, that wraps up this episode of Full Throttle Business. If you're a business owner who wants to grow your company, increase profits, and get your time back, then visit the link in the description and schedule a free strategy session with me.